Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Well, hello. hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. Brittany, let me know how I'm doing in the chat. If you are, okay, I'm just going to check my chat for a minute. Okay, perfect so far. Fabulous. Okay, this is take 3 of this episode of Hot Topics. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to the show. If you are watching this on the video, you'll see that I'm in my car right now. My life is a mess, but I got to power through. So here we are. So let's do this. I'm grateful for the technology to be able to do a show on my phone in the car. So this is interesting. So let's see where this goes. All right. So this is the show where we like to have that real talk. We like to have those open discussions. This is the show where you take those side conversations that you have with your friends, with your coworkers, with other entrepreneurs. You only kind of talk about in your small circles of like 3 or 4 people. And we like to put it all out in the open. All of that is for the purpose of education. So this is not your gossip hot topic show, but this is an educational program. And today I am excited about this topic because we are going to be talking about, let me get my banner. Boom. We're going to be talking about pricing myths, right? So pricing myths. I got to say that word slowly. So I am looking forward to seeing where this conversation goes and, what you guys can take from it. And I have a repeat guest who is going to help me out. Her name is Brittany Gregorio. And normally I would read her bio, but since I am on my phone, I am just going to bring her on the stage right now. This is a unique circumstance, and I'm just going to let her tell you about herself. So I hope she's okay with that. All right, so let me just bring her to the stage. Hey, Brittany, how you doing today?
Hey, Gabrielle, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. This is a unique circumstance, so if you wouldn't mind just telling the people about yourself before we get to the actual interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Britt Gregorio. I am the founder and CEO of Crafted Content. Before I started my business, I worked as a VA, virtual assistant, for several years, saw a ton of gaps in the market, and really started to listen to those gaps and hone in on them. And now I'm able to help entrepreneurs around the world grow with the most important thing that fuels their business, and that is content, branding, and strategy when it comes to platforms like social media. And when I'm not working with my amazing clients, you can find me snuggling up with my 3 beautiful boys and my 2 rescue cats and my husband, of course.
Of course. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. All right. So we are here to talk about pricing myths. So I want to hear your take on that. So I'm just going to pass the baton to you as we've done before and take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I can't believe this is my fourth time in the hot seat. This is so much fun. So, when it comes to pricing myths, I hear, first of all, I see a lot and I hear a lot, and it's every time you scroll on social media or you open Google, there's all of these shiny objects and programs and work with this person and work with that person. So there is a lot of noise, I personally feel like, surrounding pricing, what's real, what's not. And this is, you could say it's a little bit of a hot topic in the sense that it really does depend. Every business is different. Every business and every entrepreneur has different needs. So we might encounter a lot of gray area during this conversation, but you can feel free to ask me any questions. But really, when it comes to pricing, certain things, and again, it depends, but we can get into this in a little bit. Certain things are not as cost scary, if you will, as you might think. Now, the market and the world that we live in today, let's just say, for example, if you need to hire someone like a VA, or what, better yet, let's talk about social media management. If you need to hire someone that specializes in social media management, automatically you are just going to see dollar signs. You're going to know that that is going to be extremely costly, or it can go on the opposite end. It could be, you're like, okay, I already know I'm going to outsource. I'm going to use an awesome platform like Fiverr, or, find someone overseas that can step in and help, that you can outsource to. So you're either thinking, you're in the mindset of dollar signs, this is going to cost me so much more than I can afford, or I'm going to get someone for super cheap. So there's a lot of gray area here. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'll be very transparent and honest with you. If you want to outsource with someone, or you want to partner, I like to use the word partner. I don't really like the word outsource. If you're wanting to partner with someone and they have the experience and the know-how and the testimonials to back that up, and all of the things that's working in their favor, it might cost more than someone that's maybe brand new, just starting out, doesn't really have the experience, they just really want to get the ball rolling with their business. That's amazing. So it might be a little bit more costly to have someone to step in that knows what they're doing, like I said, that has the experience, that can see your goals and help you get to the level that you want to, which is really 9 times out of 10, the business owners that I talk to, they want to scale their business. They have certain financial goals and they want to get there. But, one of the things that, this is like a money mindset kind of a situation, right? We have to just shift gears and think to ourselves, okay, this might not be as scary as I initially think. And when it comes to things like pricing, you can't just say, as an entrepreneur, I can't afford it. I can't do it. I don't have that type of money. What you're doing is you're making an investment. And then you're also going into any given situation with a scarcity mindset around money and finances. But you need to invest. Entrepreneurs across the board, I don't care where you're at in the entrepreneurial journey, I don't care what kind of business you have, at the end of the day, you will need to invest. And if anyone tells you different, they're lying. You must invest in your business. I'm not saying go out and invest $1 million tomorrow, absolutely not, but you need to invest. And when it comes to pricing, you want to look for that ROI, for that return on investment. Do you have any questions for me so far, Gabrielle?
Let's see. Well, you definitely brought up some controversial statements there about about outsourcing overseas as opposed to finding someone in country. So that's a controversial statement there. And you also brought up about the scarcity mindset, because I'm guilty of that as well. About, I don't really have the money for this, so I'm not going to go for it. So I guess it's two different directions. So, well, let's start with one. So the scarcity mindset, let's explore that more, because you're saying to invest, which is true. But my pushback against that is that you should be aware of your budget and you should be aware of how much money you can spend, and you shouldn't be spending more than what you have. So I guess that I want to pick your brain about. So what I guess what's wrong with the scarcity mindset, and what's wrong with being cognizant of your finances and maybe looking for the cheaper option if you don't have the money for the more expensive options at this time.
Absolutely. That's a really great point. So, like I said, we're going to encounter some gray area here. And it really does depend on what you're looking for. There is nothing wrong with outsourcing at a lower rate overseas using a great platform like Fiverr. I know many people do it. There's absolutely nothing wrong like that. At the end of the day, with that, sorry, at the end of the day, it comes down to what your needs are. And as you mentioned, Gabrielle, yes, absolutely be cognizant of your finances. I'll just tell you a brief story. I made a huge investment in my own business this year, and it was very scary for me. What is, it was just so overwhelming, and I
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
confided in some friends, and I talked to some people, and they kept telling me it's really not that bad, but in my mind, it's everything that I had. You know what I mean? I didn't have a cushion to fall back on. It was every single thing that I had. I knew it was the right move to make, but in my mind, I said, okay, how am I going to get there? Let me devise a strategy. So I booked a meeting with my bookkeeper, and we hopped on a very intensive, in-depth call, and we had a real conversation about how I can, or could at the time, strategically make this happen without losing everything that I had worked so hard to gain. And we developed that strategy, and I was able to make the investment. And let me tell you, my hands were physically shaking after I had pressed the pay now button and I had made this investment. I felt sick to my stomach. My hands were shaking. But for me personally, this is a part of my journey. I have big goals, and I know in my mind that I need to play big. I need to invest big because I can see the value and I can see the return on investment. And I did. Now, this might get a little woo woo for some, but energy is a very real thing. I've dabbled in this space ever since I was little. I've been fascinated with energy, fascinated with things like meditation, and when you have a positive outlook on things, right? Because it's not a secret that positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. So sometimes you really just need to quiet yourself and know that it's going to work out. If there's a goal that you're going after as a business owner, especially if we're talking about investing and chasing dreams and having to put money into the business, you need to have that energy flowing in your mind and in your body that you've got this. This is going to happen because you're going to work to make this happen. So yes, you want to be cognizant, but depending on the goals and the dreams that you have within your business and depending on what you need to get done, sometimes you're going to have to shell out more than you have, depending on what you need.
So now that's interesting now. So what are your thoughts about taking out a business loan or going into debt or credit cards or things like that? Because for someone that may be having financial issues, in order to achieve those big goals, you can ask your friends to help, but for those who don't really, more introverted or don't really have the luxury of having outside personal support, they may have to turn to debt. So what are your thoughts on that?
Right. So that's a great point. So if taking out a small business loan fits you, if the interest rates are feasible for you, and it feels comfortable, I would say that's a great option. Maybe you can look to a credit card and get, sometimes these credit card companies have these deals. I know I just got one for my husband through my own local bank. And you can get an interest free. We just got it for 2 years, and it's a wonderful thing. So there are things that you can do. Now, if neither, or, you can go to friends and family and see if you can raise the money, as a loan and pay them back if that is, again, an option for you. If none of those are an option for you, what I would suggest is whatever you're feeling like you need in your business, whatever support that you feel that you need, if you find that person that is the right fit and you want to partner with them, but you can't quite afford to bring them on full time or on a retainer base, why don't you have that conversation with them and be like, hey, can you offer me a strategy session? That might be something that you can pay for. And and I say this with love and intention, if something like that is still not feasible for you to do, if you're unable to find the funds for something like a strategy session, or a 60-90 minute Zoom call that somebody might be charging whatever they're charging for, if that is not feasible for you, you might have bigger problems than you think you do. You have to be able to shell out a certain amount of money. Every entrepreneur knows this. It's like the 101, 101s of business, right? We must invest, but there are ways that you can strategically do things so that you're doing what's right for you and what fits the needs of you financially and your business.
That's interesting that you say that. So for something like a website, for example, my thought is, okay, because I've been there, I've been the starving entrepreneur, I've been the poor entrepreneur. Maybe I am a little bit today, but things like, there are, you definitely want to invest, if you can invest the money and invest the time as well. But something like starting a website, for example, what I did back in the day was I started a blog, which was free, and I got the domain that was $1 for a year at the time. So why not, start, if you bring up a good point, if you could talk to an accountant or, strategize with someone, but, why not just start cheap, right? And then work your way up to something bigger as opposing to taking that leap into something bigger.
With certain things, I believe it's okay to start at a lower cost, but with other things, I don't think it's okay, and I think that an entrepreneur can really get into trouble doing that. But right, you brought up a great point. You started a blog; it's free. I know WordPress can house them for free, and there are so many other amazing platforms that you can utilize. I know that ConvertKit is a great platform, and you can make free landing pages on there. You can do an email, get your email list going at very low, for free, if not very low cost. So there are options depending on where you're at in business and what your direct needs are. Sometimes it's best to talk to some kind of a business strategist to see what you need to execute first, because we never want to put, is it the carrot before the horse before the carrot, whatever that saying is. We don't want to, start doing things that are unnecessary, because you do want to save everything that you can so that when you're ready to make those bigger investments, you're able to do that.
All right, so let's give examples. So what's something that an entrepreneur should definitely invest in? What's your take on that?
Again, it really does depend where they're at in business. I think websites are important. And I think a VA could be important, but again, that really does depend on where you're at in business. Some things need to come before the VA. In my space, it's content. Content is the heartbeat of a business. If you're not giving your content 100% energy, and focus and dedication and love all the time, you are not going to move the needle in your business. And I try to bring awareness around that, because a lot of entrepreneurs think that they need all of the shiny things, when really they just need a content strategist to come in and do their writing and maybe shape their brand message a little bit, and take a look, for example, if we're talking about social media, take a look at their bios and make sure all the verbiage is, synced across all of the platforms. So it really just depends on, again, what kind of business and where they're at in business.
So is it safe to say it's not so much the money, but it's more investing time? Because something like content, Facebook and Instagram, you can schedule your posts, and you can type in your text there. Twitter, I don't think you can schedule on Twitter direct way, can you? I don't think you can schedule directly on Twitter. So is it just more, it's not so much money, but it's time as well?
It is. And you have to make, as an entrepreneur, you have to make the decision what's worth it to you, because it's either going to be your time or it's going to be your money. You're going to go down one of those avenues. If you're a busy entrepreneur, you don't have the time, your messaging is falling flat, and you're at that level where you can partner with someone, I would wholeheartedly recommend that you do that, so it really just depends. But yeah, you're going to pay for it either way, time or money. And I can tell you from personal experience, things like content creation, content writing, copywriting, strategizing, this is a full-time job. On top of, if you're a coach out there, you're seeing clients, you're doing all the things, you're balancing your books, you're doing your own website, you are so inundated with all of the other things, you have to stop and think, okay, do I want to pay someone to do this now, or do I want to keep killing myself to try to make this happen and have it be not as good as it could be, because you can't dedicate 100% of your time and effort into it?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's either time or money. Not to be, disrespectful. I think I'm just hesitant to say things like you need to invest money into your business, which you do. But my thinking is, there's ways to, even if you have to cut back or use the cheaper route, I think there's ways that you could still accomplish your goals without spending so much money. And, you can start a business, with, I wouldn't say with $0, but, with $100 to $200, something like that. So I guess that's, I'm just so I think I'm trying to get my thoughts together, but I think that's a fair point. Basically, it's either time or money that you're putting in.
Right.
So it's an interesting direction that we took this in. So so the thing you just said before about the outsourcing, I mentioned this to you before, that I think it's like on Fiverr, it's like 80% people overseas, I think. So I remember mentioning to you before that people go to websites like Fiverr because the contractors are overseas, and they can charge less because the currency conversion is more in their currency. And so
Right.
they can charge Americans less. So how does a VA, for example, or any American entrepreneur, how can they justify to the consumer, to pay more to an American entrepreneur when I can go to someone in India that'll charge me much less, because the conversion to their currency is a lot more?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And you have to, this goes back to, you have to think about what you want. If you
Sorry.
I'm back. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to really think about what you want and what is going to suit you and your brand best. If and you need to look at the experience too. You need to look, and I know many people that outsource out of country and they're so happy. They just couldn't be happier, and that's great. But then I've also heard, some not so great stories, and it happens. Nobody's perfect, right? But you have to take a look at what you're expecting. If you must have someone with experience, if you want someone that's going to take a deep dive with you and know your brand and write properly and have you strategize properly, know the ins and outs in your business, is as emotionally invested in your business as you are, is willing to dedicate the time, the energy, and work so hard because they want to see you succeed. If that's what you're looking for, look, you can look wherever you'd like to look, but you have to look at that too. Versus, if someone is taking on a big caseload, if you are their only client, if they're working with other people, if you have to make sure, especially when you go overseas, that there's no language barriers, because that does happen and it's okay. But, some of the stories that I've heard, for example, is that it created more work for the entrepreneur. They got the VA or whoever they needed off Fiverr or wherever they got them, but it created more work for them. So again, time or money, you're going to have to pick one.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And even as you were talking, a thought came to my head. This is more kind of internal, but even with, and this might be a slight shift from what we're talking about, but in terms of the entrepreneur, and maybe we can dive into this as well, the entrepreneur and how much to charge someone. I have this internal battle all the time where like my rates may be between 40 to 60 an hour, but my competition, they charge like 80, 90, $100 an hour. And I just have this internal conflict because it's like, it's why am I not charging more? But then it's like, is that something I would pay? I wouldn't pay anyone $100 an hour, So it's
right.
It's that, other tutors are doing it. They're charging 90, 100 an hour, and somehow they're making it. So I want to know what they're doing. But then at the same time, it's like, I wouldn't pay that, So, and
Right.
their clientele is different from my clientele. So I guess that's my internal battle. Like, am I shortchanging myself by charging myself the lower rates? But then in doing so, I'm catering to a certain clientele as opposed to a different, more affluent clientele. Then, yeah, they charge the higher rates and stuff like that. So I guess my question to you would be, and again, it's a slight shift in conversation. What would you say to an entrepreneur who wants to know how much to charge their clients?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So this is going to come down to, again, it really does depend. It depends on the industry and the field and the space that you're in. But
it depends, yeah.
It does depend. But at the end of the day, you must know your worth. And this kind of that energy component is sneaking back in here. You have to know your worth. And if you are tired and burnt out and frustrated, you need to take a cold, hard look at that. But on top of that, on top of getting energetically connected with your mindset surrounding that and building yourself up and really knowing your worth and believing in yourself enough to charge a higher value, if you are charging a higher value, you also have to know what your market wants. If your market doesn't want a higher value, don't do it. You have got to get into the mind of your target market. And I see so many entrepreneurs just not do this. They're solely focused on me, my business. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No, stop. Throw that out the window. Get into the minds of your target market, message them, get on the phone with them, send an email, send out a poll, put up some questions in some social media groups. Get the information that you need to see what your market is demanding right now and take your pricing and positioning from there. But very seriously, know your worth. And I'll tell you another quick little backstory. When I started as a VA, I had been in this space for forever, for so many years. But when I started my actual business as a VA, I charged the base minimum because I charged hourly. I was absolutely terrified. And I told myself over and over and over again, nobody's going to pay that. Nobody's going to pay a higher ticket, price tag on a VA. Why would they do that? And this is the story I told myself for one whole year. And guess what? I did not attract the right clientele. I attracted people that were mean to me, that believed heavily in gaslighting, that just treated me like the hired help, almost very servant-ish. And I had real problems, and I cried more nights than I care to admit. And, I took on some unhealthy habits, especially with food, because I was upset. I was trying to fill this void and I couldn't understand why this was happening. I should be so happy. I started my own company. I'm an entrepreneur. When my LLC came through at the time, I was like, celebration central. I was so excited. But at the same time, I was really harming not only myself and my business because I couldn't understand what was happening. And I finally woke up one morning. I'm a big meditator. I'm not afraid to admit that. I meditate almost every day. I'm very into yoga. I like to be in nature, as you can tell from my backyard. And I woke up one day and I said, enough. I can't live like this. This is not why I started my business. I have 3 kids to support. I wasn't going to do it the way I was doing it. And I was harming myself every single day by saying, nobody's going to pay that. It's never going to happen. I was bringing myself down instead of building myself up. I pumped the brakes. I rebranded. I regrouped. I pivoted my whole strategy and my whole method. I made this a couple of years later monster investment, and it all paid out. And I'm in the mindset now is if somebody can't see the value that I bring to the table and somebody decides that my cost is just too high for them, that's not my person. And sometimes you have to be okay with letting that person go because your mental health is what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I charge, I can testify to that. I charged lower rates before. And again, like I was aware of my clientele, but I think what kind of I figured out over time is that I feel like the lower, how do I explain this? I feel like, yes, you definitely want to get into the mindset of your clientele, but you attract what you put out, I think. So something like, charging those, like the minimum rate and the base rate, what are you going to get? You're going to get the minimum client. You're going to get the base client. And I think that's something that I had to learn over time. And, like you're going to have the clients that are flaky, that, don't follow up with you, that, are absent most of the time. And you're not going to have the loyal clients. You're going to have the sporadic ones that kind of show up once a month. And it is draining. It is emotionally draining, and it's coming out of your money as well. And even just money to the side, it's emotionally draining. So I think that's one of the things that I have to, like, even I have to push myself to say, Gabby, like, you deserve more, because if you lower yourself, how do I explain this? If you lower your rates, then you're going to get someone that kind of treats you like well, I'm paying you cheaply, so I'm not going to take you seriously. Something like that.
Exactly. Sorry, we had a raccoon problem, so I'm just making sure that they're not trying to sneak attack me. I keep hearing little footsteps behind me. I've had raccoons in my yard, literally at my front door. So I just want to be sure they're not going to jump up here. Yeah, but that really speaks to my heart, what you just said. And it is to really try to build yourself up. Wake up every single day and just know that you got this and you are worth it, and you have to make that decision. What is it going to do to you, to your sanity, to your well-being, or is it time to rethink things? But look, we're in tough economic times right now. That's not a secret. Things are hard for so many people. Inflation is a lot. It's just everything. The price that I live in New York, and the cost of gas by me is ludicrous. So, things are expensive, but that's not to say that you should lower your standards or lower your worth. I believe that anybody can still power through, even through the most difficult of times. And I've seen it happen. I've done it myself, and I've seen others do it as well. So it is possible. You just really have to, switch that mindset a little bit and get connected with yourself and know that you're on the right path for you, whatever that means.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And definitely researching your client base. So if you want, I think it's, and maybe it's the energy that I put out there. I tend to get the cheapest people who are looking for the cheapest rate. And before, I was desperate for a client. So I was just like, okay, I'll take it. But just realizing I'm putting too much energy into this person that doesn't want to put up the money. So, or even they can't even put it up, but they're trying to get a cheap break. And
right.
and it's they want the cheap rate, but they still, no, let me rephrase that. They put out the cheap rate, but they want the expensive taste. You know what I'm trying to
Right.
Yeah. So it's you're paying, $15 an hour, but you want $40 an hour service. No.
Right.
Doesn't work.
Right.
And if you put out $15 an hour, you're gonna get 15 an hour service.
And you have to take your experience into consideration too, and how many years that you've been doing this. So how many years have you been tutoring for?
Officially almost 9 years.
So that's a long time. And what are your rates?
Well, now I'm raising it now. Somewhere between 40 and 60 an hour. I do give a range.
Okay.
But I feel I tend to do well around the 50 an hour range. But I think I'm working on myself. I know it's almost 9 years, and I'll say it. I may not be quite there yet mentally, but I feel I'm just getting tired. I'm getting tired and exhausted. So I can't with the cheap people anymore, because the cheap people want cheap service. And and I don't give cheap service. So if you pay cheaply, then you get cheap. And then when you get mad that you're getting cheap, well, what do you want me to do? You're paying cheaply. So it's just, okay. It's that point where I'm starting to get tired and exhausted of the cheap people. And it's you want cheap, but you're asking for expensive. It's no, you get what you pay for. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And when you have that, you don't get what you pay for, well, what do you want me to do? And so it's just like, and I just started to realize I'm seeing that mentality from the people that want cheap. So it's like, okay, I need to get away from cheap people. So I'm slowly raising my rates, and it's
Right.
and again, I know it's almost 9 years. I feel like, why am I not there yet? But I'm working on it. I'm still a work in progress. But I think I'm slowly coming to a point where I can't with cheap people. And I just can't. Like, it's too much energy and time, and I feel like I'm worth more, and so I should get more.
You eventually get to a place where you feel so fed up, and like you said, you're tired, and why aren't you maybe in a different place? And you as an entrepreneur, you're going to have some kind of breakdown at some point, where enough is enough and you're fed up, and you're going to need to change some things. And you have to. And look, it's so hard to get into the mentality of like, I got this, I believe in myself. That's a hard thing to do. Other people make it look so easy, but it takes work. It's literally a daily practice.
Yeah.
And whatever works for you, like if affirmations are your thing, if like a song is your thing. So this might sound a little cheesy, but every morning before my kids in the house gets loud, before I start working about 6:30 in the morning, I have my cup of coffee with my husband, very quiet, and I recite the lyrics to Sia's song Unstoppable. And I just say that to myself, like, I'm unstoppable. I'm a Porsche with no brakes. Like, I got this. I don't need batteries. I'm invincible. Like, I win every single day. I say this to myself every day while I'm drinking my coffee, because you have to get to that place of there needs to be a level of believability. If you can't believe in yourself, your audience is not going to believe in you. Trust me. You are the only one that can make that happen. So you really have to believe that you're worth it. And once you start pepping yourself up every single day, it's a practice every single day, you're going to get there. And maybe you'll wake up in a month, a week, tomorrow, whatever, and say, today's the day I'm going to have to reposition some things. And that's okay, because that's your journey and that's where you're at. But if I could say one thing to the viewers tonight, one takeaway, because I know we've gotten totally off topic here, and that's awesome. That's why I love being on the show. That, invest in yourself, because that's free. Investing in yourself is free. Things like positive affirmations, believing in yourself, journaling, yoga, meditation, going for a walk in nature, running, weightlifting, whatever is your jam, just silently drinking coffee in the morning, whatever is your jam, that's free for you. That's a tool, a free tool that you can use every day to treat yourself with kindness and with love and get the positive energy flowing so that your mind has space to be clear. Because if the mind doesn't have space to be clear, you won't ever have clarity. And if you don't ever have clarity, you're not going to get your pricing right. So get clear, people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, 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 yes. Whew, wow. we definitely went in a bunch of different directions.
We did.
But hey, that's the flow of the show. All right. So let's start to wind things down now. So is there any final words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
Just be authentic always and treat yourself with kindness, and don't ever undervalue yourself. That is critical, because undervaluing yourself will lead to ultimate burnout, and we don't want that.
Absolutely. And I'll just throw in, you get what you pay for, right? So if you pay cheap, you get cheap, So, and just keep that in mind as an entrepreneur and as a customer. If you're looking for the cheap rate, you're going to get cheap service. So don't get mad when you don't get the expensive service and you're paying cheap. So even just thinking about that as an entrepreneur, if you feel that you put out a lot of effort, you should ask for more in return. And if you tend to attract people that don't want to do that, then you need to find different people. And like you said, don't be afraid to turn people down, and don't be afraid to say, no, I'm not the right, I'm not the right person for you. No, I'm not the right entrepreneur for you. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. Here's a referral, So, that's, having the courage to say no and to turn down those cheap clients. I think that takes some internal, what's the word? Some cojones, right? Some internal strength there. All right, but enough about me. Let's get back to you. Okay, so let me put up your banner once again. Bear with me, I'm on my phone today. All right, you guys. So Brittany Gregorio, she is all over that social media, you guys. Let me give you her website. The website is www.craftedcontentagency.com. So definitely go to her website and check her out. What am I trying to say? She is a social media guru, right? So if you need someone to strategize to get your social content together, if you need a business strategist, she is your girl. Reach out to her. The website again is www.craftedcontentagency.com. You could also find her on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. So definitely check her out on social media. Is there any more you want to say about your business, Brittany?
No, this was such a great show tonight. If anybody is looking for some help, if you just need, quick eyes on something, if you want to formulate a strategy, I'm truly here to help. This is why I do what I do, to serve entrepreneurs that need help. So if anybody's struggling, if you have any questions, I'm here. Just reach out to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, the information is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. If you just so happen to be watching this on video before our audio people, for our audio people, this information will be in the description. So however you are taking in this episode, the information is at your fingertips. All right. Brittany, thank you so much for coming on today and for bearing with me with all this madness.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll put you backstage now. All right, and it is just you and me, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm on my phone. Okay. And we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are all see, I got to get my words together. What am I trying to say? So wherever you are taking in this episode right now, please follow and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, definitely give us a follow or subscribe. If you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or, there's a bunch of other podcasting platforms, definitely give us a subscribe and let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section or in the comment thread. I, Gabrielle, would definitely appreciate your feedback. And as a reminder, this podcast is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you are looking for a tutor, whether for yourself or for your child or for your auntie, your cousin, your son, your daughter, your neighbor down the street, please reach out to us. Our information is on the screen. Before our audio people, I will just say it. Our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. Bear with me, I'm looking at my phone battery. Okay, so our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. Definitely look us up online. We are also on that social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Eventbrite, WhatsApp, and YouTube. Yes, I think I got them all. So definitely check us out on our social media as well. And feel free to reach out to us as well. And yes, we also have an email list and a texting list. I encourage you to sign up for both of those, either one or both. Stay in touch with us. We'll send you announcements, promotions, great offers. So stay in touch with us via email or text. So sign up for that email list and or texting list. That information is in the description as well. And what else? Oh, yes, I want to share our promotion with you that when you reach out to us and you let us know that you heard about us from Hot Topics, we'll give you 15% off 6 hours of tutoring. I will say that one more time. When you reach out to us looking for a tutor and you say that you heard about us from that Hot Topic show, we'll give you 15% off 6 hours of tutoring. So definitely take advantage of that. Okay, so now I'm going to share this final message before I officially close this episode.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please consider making a donation to our company. No amount is too small. Your donation will allow us tutors to remain employed. Offer free and low-cost services, put on productions like this podcast, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. Send your donation by Cash App to $ASATS2013, by PayPal or Venmo to @ASATS2013, or by Zelle to success@astepaheadtutoringservices.com. For our Facebook Live viewers, you can also send us a star. Your support means a lot to us. Please note, we're a for-profit company. We're not a charity. Your donation may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
All right, you guys, we have reached the conclusion of our episode, our special, unique episode with me in the car right now. All right, you guys, I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Thank you so much for joining us. And now I am signing off. Bye. Press my button. Okay. Boom.